My name is Lindsay McCoy.
Hi, my name is Sarah Jo Lambert.
Okay, I'm Jessie Milliken.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Machuca.
My name is Doug Lowry.
Hi, my name is Natalie Kozel.
Hi, my name is JC Marmaduke.
Hi, my name is Heather Watt.
Hi, my name is Christina Cruz.
Hi, my name is Yuan-Chen Liu.
I think that the ethical dilemma with anonymous sources is that there is a trust factor between the audience and the news outlet when using an anonymous source. I think that in journalism, if there is an anonymous source used, there's no way to point and say, here's the proof.
I learned that anonymous sources are a lot more common than I thought they were. I guess I didn't realize that a lot of people would want their name to be anonymous just because they don't want other people to find out what they're talking about or to come back and people get mad at them. And I guess I never really realized before that people would want to keep their name anonymous in so many stories.
Before we started this project, I didn't realize that the man who had tipped off the reporters during the Watergate case remained anonymous for a good 30 years or so.
I learned that it's probably a little bit more of a difficult process than it seems. When you think anonymous sources, you're just automatically thinking, oh, someone just choosing not to be named in a news article or a publication of some sort. When in reality, there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of ethical dilemmas, and it's kind of a slippery slope. You don't really know if you're doing the right thing or not. You're just kind of sticking your foot out there and hoping you are.
I actually didn't realize that anonymous sources were so contentious, because coming from a newspaper background, at the Daily Nebraskan where I work, we love anonymous sources because it's a really good way to get information that you might not able to get otherwise. I didn't realize that there was such a battle over whether they're actually ethical to use.
So learning that there is an ethical dilemma with anonymous sources is something I never knew before.
I would allow anonymous sources if it was completely necessary. If I could get the information any other way, I probably wouldn't do it.
I would probably allow anonymous sources for certain things. I don't know, this is one of those tough issues. There's no black or white, in my opinion at least, and I think it would just depend on the situation, the reliability of the reporter, and how big of a story that he's covering.
Even though I've learned that anonymous sources aren't good for business and they shouldn't be used a lot, if at all, I think I would still have to allow it on certain occasions. So even though my mind and everything I've learned so far tells me that it shouldn't be done, I think there's always going to be a case or two in your history in journalism where you're going to need to use anonymous sources.
I think so, and well, it will also depends on what kind of news, what kind of anonymous source it is. So it's not an absolutely yes or not an absolute no, but like I said, it depends on what kind of source, what kind of story it is.
I do think that it's ethical to use anonymous sources in certain circumstances. I don't think that in every story you should have anonymous sources, and I don't think that in every story you shouldn't. I think that if it's providing more help than hurt for people, then you should allow anonymous sources.
I think it is ethical to use anonymous sources. For example, if someone's safety was at risk, if they weren't anonymous, then that would be a good example. And you should always investigate further with other anonymous sources just to make sure that they are credible.
I believe that it is ethical to use anonymous sources because you can be protecting someone who needs the protection, and you can also be using these sources to follow the facts to a bigger story or to something that needs to be shared.
I don't think it is ethical, but I think there's the dilemma of ethical or not ethical every day as a journalist and what you can and can't talk about. So while I don't think it is ethical to use anonymous sources all the time, and I don't think it's ethical most of the time to use anonymous sources, I think there will be occasions where you kind of have to break your ethics a little bit to get a story that means more than knowing the name of the source.
Yes, it is ethical to use anonymous sources.
Yes, it is ethical to use an anonymous source.
It's ethical to use anonymous sources.
Yes, it is okay to use anonymous sources.
No, it's not ethical to use anonymous sources, but people are going to do it anyway.
Yes, anonymous sources are okay to use.
Yes, I think anonymous sources should be allowed.
Yes, it is ethical to use anonymous sources.
Yes, it is ethical to use anonymous sources.